My name's Amberley and I'm an alcoholic. Sure. Yeah, I was just listening to the promises now and yeah, I'm baffled. I'm baffled that I'm able to kind of sit here today and be able to kind of walk through my fear, and be able to sit here and share to everyone despite how I'm feeling, despite my thoughts around it, and my past experience of myself is I was never able to do that, and that's all thanks to my higher power. And this fellowship and AA. So I'm really grateful to be here today. Yes, I've been trying so hard to kind of separate myself from my thoughts and feelings around my share, and naturally I'm self-centered, so it's kind of been coming to my mind, my share, and I kind of just keep batting it away. The last time I shared my story in primary treatment, my sponsor told me to please leave the room. And it was probably one of the best things that he had done for me. I became so good at telling my story, from this victim mentality, that I was able to get people to feel sorry for me. I spent my life telling the story that was kind of based on what I thought the world had done wrong to me. How everyone else had wronged me and how I was a victim to this world. And that's kind of just been my experience of myself throughout. And he kind of just took away my delusional idea of what my past was, and that's been such a gift. I then had to experience a lot of pain thereafter, kind of facing myself and realizing, shit, I believed my own bullshit, and I was so adamant to get everyone else to believe my bullshit so I could kind of continue to justify my behavior and keep my disease, because my disease is what I wanted to protect the most. I didn't want anyone to take it away from me. So I'm going to do my best to share my story for the first time in recovery, from a recovery perspective, and I believe it's on a journey to getting better. So if I take a look at my past, from the very beginning, I don't really remember too much from my childhood, but what I do know now is that, I was raised by I'm from Cape Town, born and raised in Hart Bay. I was raised by a mom and a dad who did the best they could with what they had. I just couldn't see it. My dad was an alcoholic. He would soon then die from this disease. But again, I used his death as a grand finale to my using, but I'll say more about that later. My mom raised myself and my twin sister and my brother. She raised us with morals and with values, taught us what was right, what was wrong. She did the best that she could. She was a single mother. I couldn't really ever see from her perspective kind of what she was going through with my father, you know what I mean? So I wanted to protect my father like I wanted to protect my disease, and so I blamed her for everything. And this would also continue throughout my life, where I just never gave my mom any gratitude or thanks. I also have a twin sister, Brittany, and a part of the share is for her, because I hope so much to show her that there is a life beyond the pain that we both can relate to. And so just for today, I will do the best that I can to make sure I can carry that message to her, because there's freedom. I have a brother, Lorden. Sure, what an incredible guy. I get emotional talking about my family. He was a brother. I always used to say I never had a brother. My brother doesn't like me, because he was always the only one that was able to kind of call me out on what I was doing. He never took my bullshit, and I hated him for that, because I didn't like people making me see myself, you know what I mean? I didn't believe them because I was so thick in my delusions, because it was everyone else, not me. I wasn't the problem, they were. A part of this share is also for my brother. To show him that maybe one day he could have a sister, we could have a relationship, and I know the only indirect amends I can make now is by staying in this program and doing the best that I can for myself, so I can create a life beyond my wildest dreams for the people around me, and stop causing everyone around me pain. Because it's not about me anymore. It's about you guys. It's It's about the suffering alcoholic and about my family. If I can kind of think back to how I was as a kid, sure, I was a bit of a strange one. Myself and my twin sister were very different. She was very girly. I was very more on the tomboy side, and I kind of didn't really think too much into that. I was Amberley, I dressed the way I wanted to dress. I used to dress in like boy clothes and silk boxes, and people used to like make fun of me for that. But I continued to dress the way I wanted to, or to be the way I wanted to be. But in that, all that negative attention, if I can look at it, all that negative attention I got, I started to realize, I'm getting some kind of attention. And so the negative attention it was easier than trying to get the positive attention for me. So I guess from a very young age, I learned that acting out, I would start to get my family's attention and everyone around me. So I didn't have to work hard to get that self-worth from others, So I would act out. I found coping in food. From a very young girl, I found I just never was really able to cope. I was dishonest. I remember I used to lie about the strangest things. And I also used to, from a young age, like, my family didn't have much money, my mom especially, and I would like go and steal cheese from the fridge and go around the back and eat this cheese. And from a very young age, and that's kind of like the behavior that's carried on throughout. And it doesn't matter whether it was like the alcohol or the cheese, is still the same behavior around it. And that was me from the very beginning. I've heard a friend in the fellowship, share about when he was at school. Kind of not being able to like do good in class, and for me that was kind of, it brought back a lot of memories for me in school. And it's like, I remember there's this vivid memory of me in school, and we were learning how to write the alphabet in between the lines. Like, for the first time, the letters had to go inside the lines, and I couldn't comprehend this. I couldn't cope. I remember sitting at this desk, crying, throwing a tantrum, crying, because I refused. I did not want to put those letters in the line because I had no self-worth. I didn't think I was capable, but also I knew maybe it would get me attention. I didn't want to do things that people wanted me to do. You know what I mean? I wanted to do things my way. And now having to kind of get out of my comfort zone and write those letters in the lines, that wasn't okay for me because I was so fearful. I look back now and it's like I was so fearful of that. So that was me pretty much from a very young age. My family got divorced. My father's alcoholism, kind of, I used to say, like, kind of broke our family apart, but it would soon turn out that I would be the one to do that, to follow in his footsteps by choice. So when my family got divorced, my dad experienced a lot of darkness within his disease, but again, I defended my dad's honor, my dad's right, that my mom was a nasty one, because she was the one that just had to try and raise 3 children that weren't 100% okay by herself to the best of her ability, and I guess it was like the most selfish, self-centered thing of me to do, because I'm 27 now, and it's only been a year since my mom has, not even a year, like half a year since my mom has not experienced that Amberley. So I've got a long time to kind of make an amends to her for that. Myself and my sister and my brother, we kind of moved from Harpe. We went to go stay with my mom in the southern suburbs, which is it's about a 20-minute drive from our home. And we went to school, and in that school, I struggled a lot. I was bullied. Yet I kind of see now that, like, I liked being bullied. I liked the kids making fun of me, because then Amberley could be the center of attention, and I could behave the way I wanted to behave and cry and get kind of like some kind of self-worth from it, twisted self-worth from it. And I remember I also like had this like tick, or this twitch. And that would continue for me, like all these strange behaviors. I would I just remember I was just not okay, and I didn't have any friends in school, but that was by choice. I remember I didn't like any of my sister's friends. I judged them because they were girly. I judged them because I guess that they weren't the people that I needed them to be. I had certain expectations for how I wanted my friends to be. and no one ever really fit the criteria. So I found myself kind of isolated in primary school. Life at home wasn't easy. My mom struggles a bit, and my relationship with my twin sister, my brother, was like non-existent because I was behaving the way I was, but I blamed them. And I remember, so this is through our primary school, I remember kind of going to grade 7 and meeting my friend, my first best friend, and she was cool, but she was one of my sister's friends. And I remember kind of finding so much self-worth from her that we became inseparable. I then started to behave in a different way that wasn't true to how I was, because I realized, I was getting more attention from how I was behaving and the way I was looking, trying to be more girly, and kind of this would lead to the type of interrupted persona that I would carry out with me through high school. I remember getting to high school, and again, that negative attention that I craved so much, I became like the most dodgy person there, you know what I mean? I used to blame everyone else around me, or, I got in with the wrong crowd, but in fact, I was the wrong crowd, I'm not the most dodgy person as I'd liked, as in that time I would have liked to think I was, but I behaved that way. I got into drinking. I got into drinking a little bit before with my father, but in high school is kind of where I started to pick it up more. In grade 8, I started to experience the true nature of my disease, where I had kind of hit rock bottom very fast. I kind of relate my rock bottom to how I was just prior coming into treatment. It's like that feeling of like desperation and that need to use or to find some kind of relief. I experienced that in the beginning of grade 8, or towards the end of grade 8. My life very quickly went downhill. In high school, I started to do the wrong things, drink, and I started to behave in a way that wasn't true to my mom's values and morals for me. You know what I mean? I just wasn't a good person. Everything was always about me. And through all of this, I didn't have a relationship with my brother, nor did I have one with my sister or my mom. I didn't know anything about them. I was just thinking about Amberley always. I remember kind of having all that behavior, except having it with hiding alcohol, stealing alcohol and other substances. And I would soon then get home, go have like sleepless nights, go to school, same kind of behavior towards what it was last year for me. But I was 15, I remember kind of just hating everyone and hating myself and hating the world, that I just didn't want to live anymore. And I've had multiple like suicide attempts at a young age, but all 4 attempts. And I remember having blackouts at that age. I remember kind of going to the park with my twin sister and my friend, and I would go veer off to the side and I would go drink alcohol with the homeless people. At that age, I remember they would kind of carry me home in a trolley. My mom taking one look at me and just slapping me, thinking, what is going on, And I didn't know myself either. I didn't know what was going on. I used to say I'm addicted to the feeling of forgetting. And that's kind of, no one told me about that. I just kind of came up with that by myself, and that was how I was feeling. The fact that I was feeling that way, there clearly had to be something wrong. So by the age of 15, I ended up in my first treatment center, and I guess that was the start to the cycle of treatment centers. That was the start to my life and my cycle of life. I went to that treatment center, and I remember going to these meetings and seeing all these people, and hearing these shares of people being homeless and they're missing teeth and just baffling stuff. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I don't want to be here. I'm not like them, And that was it. It was me judging, thinking I'm better than everyone. Not hearing, Not hearing, not seeing. And that also, again, continues throughout my life, where I just thought I knew best. And my best thinking leads me back into rehab, and that's exactly what happened. I would get out of a treatment center, be put back in one, then get back out and give my family all this false hope. And they would kind of feed into it, They would be so grateful that maybe they've got a chance to get their sister and their daughter back, but that wasn't the case. What I learned very quickly is how to play the game. I got really good at playing the game. I knew, okay, when things get bad for me, I will get sent back to treatment center. I can then play the game in the treatment center, pretend that everything's okay, and then get my family back, get all those external factors, those external things that I was so fearful of losing back. And that's exactly what I did, I just used my family, and unfortunately my family didn't know any better other than to enable me, because they watched my father and my mom's husband die, ex-husband at the time, died from that disease, and so I think they wanted to protect me because they could see a lot of Amberley in her father, and I loved that. So I guess, sorry, where was I? And so I would give them that false hope, and then I would go out and kind of get my family again, get all the things that I needed, and then find myself back in treatment, experiencing a little bit of things weren't quite at a rock bottom every single time. I've been to about 10 treatment centers. My mom begs to differ. She says it's 13, but it doesn't matter how many treatment centers I went to. That was just kind of like how many times and more, put my family through hell. I remember inside all of the treatment centers that I would go to, I would kind of play that victim, and sit there, and I'd be diagnosed with, Amberley has this borderline split personality disorder, which I loved because then I could, I had a reason to understand why I was so crazy. But in fact, it was just drug-induced and alcohol-induced, and kind of that's kind of what went on for me, and I remember sitting in this, and for me, unfortunately, those treatment centers just didn't work for me because I didn't work for me. I wasn't there for the right motive, but I also didn't have any kind of understanding of what the 12-step program was about, and about what truly AA meant, and I'm so grateful today to kind of be on a journey to learning to understand it, understanding that I'm the problem, and that there's a way forward with that, and how to be a functioning human of society, that's loving and kind. Anyway, and so then, let's say by the age of, I was just in and out of treatment centers, for a long time, and if I can kind of go back to my 20s, I was probably, and I could talk about my powerlessness here. It's like I found so much relief through alcohol. I remember I couldn't cope with life. I wasn't able. I experienced so much anxiety. I wasn't able to talk to anyone, or I'd go squint, and so I would have to kind of drink to kind of to find relief from that, and so that became my solution. So I'm getting in my head a bit, yeah. So that became my solution, alcohol, and kind of causing my family so much pain. Okay, and then I will tell you about when my family started to realize that they had had enough. I remember kind of having another one of my manic blackouts, my manic episodes. My experience of myself is so many times have I been kind of arrested, or kind of my family's had to call the ambulance and stuff because Amberley's gone crazy. Amberley's not okay. I remember this one time. Kind of going through this blackout, and my mom trying so hard to kind of just stop me from going. Stop me from leaving the house. I wanted to leave. I needed to go use, and I needed to go pick up. And I was almost in this kind of alcohol and drug-induced psychosis. I would always go into this little delusional. When I was so thick of my disease, I was just not okay. And I remember fighting my mom. I remember fighting her. But I could remember it now. And I remember being put into a psych ward, which I went to many, besides the treatment centers that I had gone to, because that was also a solution for my family, to kind of protect them from me, because they didn't know what else to do with Amberley anymore. They were just going to put it there because they had to. They had no other option, otherwise I was going to be happy, joyous, and free on the streets. So I remember my mom coming to visit me, and she said to me, she came to the treatment center, and there's a photo of me, and I remember looking at this photo, and my eyes were just dead. And I remember my mom kind of looking at me and just like, just lost, you know. And it was quite hot there, and she took her jersey off, and I looked at her, and she had bruises all over her. And I said, Mom, what happened? And she's like, you know, and that's the kind of stuff I did to my mom. I hurt her a lot, physically, emotionally, mentally, you know, spiritually. Spiritually, I was dead too. I had no concept of what it meant to live a life. Believing in something higher than, a power greater than myself. I was my own power, you know. And that's kind of the stuff that I had done. I remember getting sent to this women's facility, a government facility on a farm, quite far away from Cape Town, and that was the first kind of experience of my family not kind of indulging into me going into like these luxurious treatment centers. It was kind of like Amberley needs to go and kind of like, she needs to go sort out herself, you know, sort out her life. And I went to this farm, and I remember thinking like, how could they have put me here? It was quite it wasn't what my past experiences of treatments were like, you know. It was kind of like, and I didn't have the 12-step program. However, the story that I've told before is kind of like, that's why this farm I kind of hold quite close to me. It's I remember seeing this homeless lady on the side of the road near my mom's street. And she had wet herself, and she was on the streets. And I remember driving in my external car that my mom had bought me, and I remember thinking to myself, looking at this lady, thinking, oh, how can she be like that? But, you know, but I was so thick in my delusions that I thought that I was better and I was different to her. You know, although had a roof over my head and I had my mom's car that she had bought me, you know, I thought my life was okay because I had all these external things. But inside I was spiritually dead. Just like this lady was, you know. But I drove past her, and I continued to go find relief in alcohol, judging others because I didn't want to look at myself because I was better. And then so I would go to this government facility for women on this farm, and I couldn't believe my eyes, you know. This lady that was on the side of the road that didn't have a home was now in the same place as I was. And kind of what I see from that now is that, like, I'm no better than anyone else, no matter what or where the circumstance is. It's like I'm exactly the same. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic, and we both can experience pain, you know, that I'm no better than her. And then I would soon find myself that I still believed that I was better through that experience because I didn't have the 12-step program. I didn't have people around me to show me the love that I needed, not the love that I wanted. They showed me the love I needed, not the love I wanted. And so I went out and I needed to go experience a bit more pain. And that's what I did, you know. And then I realized I would soon find myself how I saw this lady, you know. I was exactly in my mom's streets, without a home, with a dog, Lentil, that I couldn't look after. Kind of standing outside of my mom's gate, asking her for dog food and for cigarettes. You know, my mom comes out because unfortunately I've made her sick. She gives me a little thing of dog food and 3 cigarettes, and she passes it through the gates because she needs to protect herself from me because I had just robbed my family. I robbed them of a lot of things, and so that was me. You know, I then very quickly after that found my rock bottom. I got into a toxic relationship with this woman that I thought was my world. You know, I see that I was, you know, I was a problem. Unfortunately, I just made her really sick. You know, and through that, you know, I kind of had found. Although I was in such a dark place, I had found this instant gratification or relief from myself, you know, because I had this beautiful woman, you know what I mean, that loved me back. But instead it wasn't love, it was obsession. We were both obsessed with each other. I remember my family kind of asking me to please stay away. Her family also begging, and stay away, you're killing her. And I couldn't see that. You know, I wasn't killing anyone, I was protecting her. And soon she would kind of start to follow on my path, to like ultimately my demise, you know. So about 2 weeks prior to coming into treatment, I was separated from her. Her family had to fly down from Durban and take her away from me, And I remember now that this little fix of mine was gone, I was kind of left to myself with no home, with the dog Lentil that I was so grateful to have, but I didn't know what to do. And I remember doing a lot of dodgy things. I remember kind of so desperate to use and to drink, that drinking wasn't even a drinking to find relief. It's like it was my ultimate substance to my being. Like I needed to drink to live, my DOC that I had kind of led me to my rock bottom very fast. Those two came hand in hand. I used to live and live to use. That was kind of my experience, and my desperation and need for drugs and alcohol was just so powerful. I didn't want to live without it, but I was too much of a coward to kill myself, and that's kind of what happened. I got involved with some bad people like myself. I did some like fraud in Cape Town, and I kind of like what I really got to look like. What I kind of look about for myself is that like I just did like everything for me. Nothing was about anyone. Nothing was about Lentil. It wasn't about my friends or my family. It was just about me and my substance. And I kind of remember looking. I was staying in this like really. Every day I woke up and I kind of had to kind of this chronic anxiety of how am I going to where am I going to stay, what am I going to use, how am I going to use. So I would kind of have to come up with this obsession of this plan of what I was going to do, and that was my life on a day-to-day basis. And I remember staying in this place and looking at Lentil, my dog, and looking at her, and she had stuff all down her nose. I remember looking at myself, and I was a complete mess. I had no life left in me. I had nothing. I had nothing left. You know what I mean? I had nothing left to give, or nothing left to fix me. I had no more money left. I couldn't afford to. I just didn't know what to do. And I also had been offered to kind of go work with these ladies on the streets. And that was an option for me because that's what I needed to do to find relief. But the one thing that kind of saved me from that was Lentil. I remember looking at her thinking, oh, I can't leave her, you know what I mean? And I hold her so dear to my heart because she's the first thing that the first memory of kind of having an experience of a conscience, of something other than myself that I couldn't do anymore, but I couldn't let go. I couldn't let go of her. I couldn't give her away. And it was so selfish of me, She was this external factor, she was another kind of obsession for me, and this external factor that I needed to hold on. And that's not her fault, you know what I mean? That's my fault. But I am eternally grateful to her because she kind of led me to the path where I would soon find the treatment center that would change my life. I remember looking at her, thinking, Flo, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And I remember picking up the phone, and I called the treatment center, and I remember the lady that answered, she said, you and your dog, you just get her no matter what, and we'll sort it out. And that was the first experience I had of kind of following a suggestion. That's where my higher power was working in my life. My higher power was working in my life and doing things for me that I couldn't do for myself. And that's what I did. A family kind of, I made my way from Cape Town to Durban with Lentil, and I remember getting to Durban and having last 3 days, and I just remember kind of withdrawing and just like losing my mind completely. I remember waking up, my last drink was I woke up next to a woman that I didn't know that I had just used, and I remember looking at this drink on the floor that was old, and I just remember shaking, so much anxiety, Lentil's going mad, and I just remember downing it and saying to the treatment center, please pick me up. And I guess that was the biggest gift that I'd ever been given. I got into this treatment center where I kind of was living how I was living on the outside, on the inside. I was so delusional. Like, I just couldn't see beyond myself. I thought, no ways, you know what I mean? I'm not that bad. I'll stay for 21 days and I'll be cool. I'll go to either this girl or I'll go to that girl and get lentil back, you know what I mean? Essentially, it was all about Amberley, what I could get back again, because that was my experience of treatment, is I would go to treatment and get all these things back, and once I felt okay and better and knew I could get those things, I would leave. I came into treatment center with a restraining order my family and my mom had gotten against me because they had to do that. That's what they had to do. That was where my family had stopped enabling me, which kind of gave me that realization. Oh shit, I'm on my own now. You know what I mean? No one's here to kind of protect me or enable me or kind of let me carry on with the way I want to carry on. So I got into this treatment center and. Sure. I remember kind of like sitting in my first group, this group where they really like give me the love that I need, not the love that I want. And I remember sitting there thinking, these people are so hectic. Like, what's wrong with these people? They're all wrong. I'm not selfish. I'm not self-centered, And I remember just thinking, I'm not going to stay here long. No. I'm just going to do what I need to do. I'm going to go. And unfortunately, that's my truth. I remember them saying to me, Amberley, you're so good at playing the game. And I'm thinking, but I promise I'm trying. Yet, I was being so dishonest. I was just still so not okay. I used to think, why don't they understand? Why can't they see that I'm trying? Yet I'm in a dishonest relationship with another woman, actually blocking her recovery. Kind of fixing off any kind of affirmation I could get because it made me feel better. I didn't think about what it was doing to her recovery or what it was doing to the people around me and to the counselors that were kind of fighting for my life while I was just fighting them and saying, like, if you, basically through my actions. And then soon I would it's kind of the best thing that unfortunately, like, it kind of happened for me because I had to face some consequences. I was moved from that treatment center to a new treatment center, and I kind of had to really face myself there. I remember my sponsor kind of saying to me, having to do this assignment, saying about all the dishonesties I had done, and I remember doing this assignment and sitting in his like counseling room. And thinking like, I don't know who I am. So like thinking about illusion, It was like every single thing that you wrote down on this piece of paper, that's who you are. Now you need to be the complete opposite of what you've written on here. And for the first time, something clicked and I went, okay, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Because I looked at this piece of paper and went, shit, that's who I am. So this whole nonsense about me not knowing who I was, I knew exactly who I was. I'm a dishonest, unreliable, self-centered, selfish person without this program. And I kind of walked out of his room with my tail between my legs, just putting in action. It's just so fearful of kind of losing this family that had kind of loved me no matter what. No matter what I had done, I had seen that, like, sure, they're giving me another chance, and they don't have to. No one has to give me another chance. I'm getting God's grace. I'm getting grace. And my sponsor had told me that grace is something that's undeserved, so now I need to deserve it. I also remember kind of really struggling with one of my biggest things I struggle with is kind of seeking people's approval, and in that I have no boundaries, so I will do what I need to do so that people can like me, whether it's a disservice to my body, disservice to other people, just so you like me, If you don't like me, I'm a mess, because that's where I get my self-worth from. I remember saying to him, well, where do I get my self-worth from? He says, from doing esteemable things, Amberley, and I couldn't comprehend that. I didn't understand what he meant by that, and now today, my understanding of that is kind of working the 12-step program, being honest, getting up, going to it, doing a meeting, praying, making it about others, not about me, sweeping the room when no one's looking. Those are esteemable things. And through doing esteemable things, I started to gain some kind of relief from my lack of self-worth, There's this thing for me that I kind of go by, and it stands for loss. It's a loss to my recovery. It's lack of self-worth, oversharing, because I like to overshare, and I take people hostage by that, or they can have power over me, And success as being a sure thing, because I will sleep with any woman, I'll sleep with anyone. If that makes them like me, and self-will, I love to act on self-will. I don't know, I spent my whole life just running on what Andy thinks is best. So kind of that was my experience, I remember in treatment, I experienced a lot of my step 1, 2, and 3 continuously, and that's my experience. My step 1, on my powerlessness, I would experience a lot, through acting, through self-will, because I had no really understanding, of the program, and I had to learn how to put it into action. I would then get myself into a mess, find myself on my knees, and need help. You know what I mean? And by that, I would then have to kind of think, oh, I can't do this alone. And I need to surrender. I need to believe that a power greater than myself can guide me through this, that this program can work for me. And that was my experience of how I came to spiritually connecting to step 3. And that was through my step 1. It's kind of knowing realizing I can't do this alone, and still today I can take my will back. I'm far from perfect, and I know that I need this program, and I need everyone around me to kind of be here and to stay clean, to stay sober. I volunteered in the treatment center for a few months, and the thing was, it was just kind of to teach me how to kind of live life. I had no concept of how to live life from level 1. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to get up, shower. I didn't know how to go to work. And they gave me the opportunity to do that. Oh, what a gift that's been. I got up every day. I went to work despite how I felt. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be living in this treatment center. I want to go do what I want to do, because that's what Amberley wants to do. Amberley wants to do what she wants to do. And through my journey, I kind of started to connect to how to live life level 1 through the program and through my sponsor's guidance. I'm so eternally grateful for the love that I have received. My life now looks completely different to how it looked last year. It's incredible. I live in a halfway house with women whom I have a relationship with, not based on selfish reasons. You know what I mean? I had a job that I've had to resign now because I'm following my sponsor's suggestions with blind faith, and I trust my sponsor so much, and I'm moving away from my job. But I know that God has a plan for me, and I'm so excited to continue to follow that, because so far following God's plan is working for me, because I'm sitting here. And one thing that I got from that job, is that I'm capable, I'm able, I can get up, I can go to work, and that's all thanks to me having been given the opportunity to learn to live level 1 of life. And, I could never do that before. Today, going back to my brother, my sister, and my mom, it's a work in progress, but I had a phone call with my mom this morning. That's incredible, I'm kind of, the only kind of relief that she can get is that I've been kept far away from them. She said to me the other day, I'm not ready to see you. I don't want to see you, Amberley, because I've caused her so much pain. And I can't take that pain away. I know I'm not God. I know I can't have created all the pain in the world that could make her sick. But what I can do is I can, for the first time in my life, try to help her with that pain by staying clean. My twin sister, I spoke to her again, and I'm able to kind of be a sister to her from a distance. I love her with all my heart, and sure, I just want her to see through my actions, not my words, what a life looks like in recovery. And I've still got a long way to go to show her that, but it's like I know that I can be the sister that she needs one day when she's ready, you know what I mean? She's incredible. My brother sent me a 56 second voice note, which is like incredible, with like a heart emoji. And like for me, that's amazing, because I never thought I would have a relationship with him. I remember my sponsor at the time said it's going to take 5 years, Amberley. wish it might, but for now, I'm okay with those little heart emojis, you know what I mean? That means a lot. Yeah, and I just like, I have an incredible life, really, really, I'm like speechless to the point of like how different my life is, you know, there's a lot of changing for me. But I'm willing and I'm capable, and I trust in my higher power, you know, that my higher power will guide me to stay in recovery. Yeah. So thanks for letting me share. I'm really grateful that I was able to do that. Thank you.